The chemicals and nutrients on our planet are recycled in biogeochemical cycles. These cycles are a series of exchanges between living things, the bio portion of the word, and non-living things, like the soil, the geo portion of the word. Diagrams are used to show the directions that each nutrient travels through the ecosystem as it is recycled. Reservoirs and exchange pools are non-living, abiotic, sources of the nutrients. Often chemicals undergo changes as they cycle and are found in different molecular configurations at different steps in the cycles. The first cycle is the water cycle, or hydrologic cycle. Evaporation occurs when water is warmed by the sun, which changes it from liquid to gaseous state. Water evaporates off of the surfaces of oceans and lakes. Water also evaporates off of the leaves of plants in a process called transpiration. As the water rises, it cools and condenses into clouds. Condensation is the change from a gas to a liquid state. As the water becomes heavy again, it returns to the land as precipitation: rain, snow, sleet, hail, or fog. Water percolates into the ground to be stored in groundwater or aquifer reservoirs. Some runs off the land back to large bodies of water. Phosphorus is an important nutrient for the membranes of our cells, the ATP we use for energy, and every molecule of DNA and RNA. Phosphates are stored in reservoirs in rocks or soil. Phosphate rocks wear down in a process called weathering to become phosphate soil. Phosphorus is a limiting nutrient, which means if we don't get some, we can't grow. Plants get their phosphorus from the soil with their roots, and then animals eat the plants. When plants and animals die, their phosphorus is returned to the soil by decomposers who break down the dead bodies. The soil hardens into rock, and the geological process of uplifting can expose those rocks to weathering again. Phosphorus can also run off the land into the water, where it can fall to the bottom and become soil through sedimentation. This becomes an issue when there is too much phosphorus in the water. Because plants need phosphorus to grow, humans mine the phosphorus from rocks directly and put a lot in fertilizers for agriculture. This causes excess nutrients to end up in the lakes, streams, and oceans, causing eutrophication, or over-enrichment. Having too many nutrients causes a buildup of green algae in waterways. The green algae die and sink to the bottom to become detritus. The detritus is broken down by bacteria. The process of having to break down all the extra algae causes the bacteria to use more oxygen. This leaves the water low in oxygen, causing animal life like fish to die off. The Mississippi River Basin drains huge amounts of nutrients from farms of the central United States. These empty into the Gulf of Mexico, causing algal blooms and a hypoxic or low oxygen zone called the Gulf of Mexico Dead Zone. In 2021, this zone measured 6,334 square miles, bigger than the average of the previous 5 years. Nitrogen is another limiting nutrient that you need to make proteins for your muscles and cells, as well as DNA and RNA. Our atmosphere is a reservoir for nitrogen gas. The air you breathe is about 70% N2 gas. Unfortunately, plants and animals can't use nitrogen in this form, so it has to be converted into usable forms in the soil. Nitrogen fixation is the process of bacteria turning atmospheric nitrogen gas into soil nitrogen for plants to use. Plants get nitrogen through their roots, and then animals eat the plants. Nitrogen is returned to the soil when plants and animals die. Bacteria use a different process called denitrification to return the soil nutrient back to the atmosphere. Humans also interfere in this process by adding nitrogen to fertilizers, causing an excess of nutrients. These nutrients run off into the water, contributing to eutrophication and oxygen depletion in the water. Fertilizer also releases nitrous oxide gas, a greenhouse gas, that contributes to ozone depletion. Carbon is essential for all of the molecules that run your body. Life on Earth is carbon-based, meaning we use carbon for everything. Carbon can be found in reservoirs in the atmosphere as carbon dioxide gas, in the ocean as carbonate, and in the soil in decomposing bodies that become our sources of fossil fuels. Carbon is removed from the atmosphere by producers doing photosynthesis and by diffusing or settling into the ocean. When plants and animals do anything that requires energy, a process called respiration burns carbon-containing compounds like sugar to make ATP. This releases carbon dioxide back to the atmosphere. Photosynthesis and respiration balance each other out. Human activities have thrown this cycle out of balance. Combustion of fossil fuels releases too much carbon into the atmosphere. Humans dig up the oils of decomposing bodies faster than they would naturally be uncovered. The Amazon rainforest is called the lungs of the earth. It has been responsible for doing photosynthesis to remove the excess carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. The Amazon rainforest has been deforested heavily since the 1960s, causing its capabilities to remove carbon dioxide to shrink. In 2019, the president of Brazil, Bolsonaro, scaled back enforcement of environmental protection laws and pushed commercial exploitation of indigenous lands. As a result, in 2021, the deforestation of the Amazon rainforest has accelerated to reach a 15-year high. A study published in the journal Nature in 2021 shows that portions of the Amazon are now contributing more carbon dioxide to the atmosphere than they can remove.